So for this topic, we will announce in English language, and also that we have the translation this way for all of you as well. So if you need to take some, so you can contact our staff with the beside of the sets over there. And right now, distinguished guests, it's time to welcome everyone. So you can reserve your seat at in front of the sets right now. We will start immediately. ทุกท่านคะสำหรับกิจกรรมในช่วงนี้ค่ะเพื่อที่จะให้ทุกท่านสามารถที่จะได้มาร่วมรับชมแล้วก็รับฟังกับกิจกรรมในครั้งนี้โซนด้านหน้าเวทีสามารถมาจับจองกันได้นะคะแล้วก็ย้ำด้วยกับเครื่องแปลภาษาเรามีให้บริการกันอยู่ที่บริเวณโซนด้านข้างค่ะ Distinguished guests, right now it's time to move all of you to join in with the Sweden-Thailand Sustainable Development Forum 2024. And so if all of you ready, so please give a round of applause for welcome Kun Lina Idmar, Consular Embassy of Sweden. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, here we go. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the Sweden-Thailand Sustainable Development Forum of 2024. My name is Lina Edmark. I work for the Swedish Embassy, and it's our pleasure to welcome you here today. I will be your MC. For those of you who would like to listen in Thai language, please get a translation device because this forum will be held in English. Sweden is very happy to host this forum, which is held for the fourth time. The Sweden-Thailand Sustainable Development Forum is an annual event alternately organized by the Royal Thai Embassy in Stockholm, Sweden, and the Swedish Embassy here in Bangkok, Thailand. The objective of the forum is to serve as a platform to exchange experiences among sustainable development between our two countries. Without further ado, to kick off our event today, I would like to welcome Her Excellency Ambassador Anna Hammargren, Swedish Ambassador to Thailand. Give her a warm welcome.
Sawadika. Here we go. Thank you so much for inviting me up here. I'm very glad to be here again. And Excellency, dear colleague, DG Konkranit, who is also joining us here from the Ministry for Foreign Affairs. I'm extremely happy to have you with us. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And as Kun Lina said, this is the Swedish Thai Sustainable Development Forum. And I'm very glad and honored too, as was Lina, to stand here in front of you today, this afternoon. I have the privilege of introducing the showcasing of the strong Swedish-Thai bilateral cooperation on sustainability. And what a setting this is. I hope that you've had the possibility to walk around and look at other pavilions and maybe listen to other speakers in this fantastic expo. I think it's an excellent event. And when I say Swedish-Thai cooperation for this forum taking place here today, of course there are many stakeholders in this. Let me first acknowledge the Royal Thai Embassy in Stockholm for being a long-term partner and for hosting a similar event last year. I'd also like to thank our partners 2024, Business Sweden, and the Thai-Swedish Chamber of Commerce for co-hosting today's event together with the Swedish Embassy here in Bangkok. We are very pleased to be here for the third year at the Expo, and it is a fantastic Expo. And let me definitely also express my appreciation to the organizers for arranging this Expo on such an important topic. The annual Thai-Swedish Sustainability Forum serves as a vital platform for dialogue between government, academic institutions, and the private sector. It reflects the priority that both governments place on the broad approach for achieving sustainable development. We share the sense of urgency to address climate change, air pollution, plastic waste, and loss of biodiversity. And we are committed, both Sweden and Thailand, to the SDG agenda, the Paris Agreement, and the Convention of Biological Diversity. The environmental challenges that we face are grave and require urgent action from everybody. We must all redouble our efforts and work at various levels. Politically, there is scope for cooperation in multilateral fora and processes. Economically, we need to liberalize trade and foster stronger energy connections to accelerate this green transition. And academic exchange and research are vital for better identifying ways forward and to foster innovation, which is needed to lowering emissions while we retain a healthy economic growth. It is these challenges and opportunities that today's forum is about. At this Expo, Team Sweden also proudly presents the Swedish Pavilion. It's located in this direction across the hall. It features an exhibition on research and innovation. And throughout this exhibition, we aim to highlight Sweden's thriving research and innovation ecosystem, which is the product of smart ideas, cooperation, entrepreneurship, good financing, political leadership, and legislation, as well as the so-called triple helix. That's a model that signifies interaction between collaboration, I'd say, not only interaction, but interaction and collaboration between academia, the private sector, and governments. And that could be actually one of the key explanations why the Swedish model and Sweden ranks so highly in different innovation indices around the world. We're second in the UN Sustainability Development Report and also in the Global Innovation Index. So, at this forum, both from the stage here and at the pavilion, we showcase examples of sustainable practices from leading Swedish companies operating in Thailand. If you have not already visited the pavilion, I strongly recommend it. There are some really interesting pieces to look at there. And there will be plenty of time after these discussions and during the week. So without further ado, I'd like to invite you to watch a video message from our Swedish Minister of Development Cooperation and International Foreign Trade. He's been recently appointed. His name is Benjamin Dusa, and I'm very pleased that he could send us this greeting. Kap kun ka.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and thank you for inviting me to say a few words at the 4th edition of the Sweden-Thailand Sustainable Development Forum. This forum is an excellent opportunity to share experiences and create new partnerships to advance the green transition, delivering on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We have a great platform to build on. Sweden and Thailand have enjoyed long-standing relations for as long as 156 years. We share amazing and extensive people-to-people contacts. Thailand is also one of Sweden's most important trading partners in Southeast Asia. Last year, our bilateral trade exceeded $1.3 billion, which highlights the strength of our economic partnership and exchange. This is something I hope will get a further boost when a free trade agreement between the EU and Thailand is signed. Sweden is a strong supporter of the ongoing negotiations, and I look forward to the conclusion of an ambitious agreement that increases two-way market access and reduces non-tariff barriers. This is of great value not only from an economic perspective, but also as a signal of political ties and priorities. But already today, more than 100 Swedish companies are investing and have operations in Thailand. Swedish-Thai commercial relations have contributed to an estimated 100,000 jobs in Thailand and to inject more than 170 billion baht into the Thai economy annually. Swedish industrial contributions to Thailand extend beyond their direct economic impact. Swedish companies are leaders in sustainability and innovation, driving positive change, fostering new ideas, and promoting the exchange of knowledge and technology. In parallel, Sweden welcomes imports and investments from Thailand. The openness of Swedish industry to collaborating with global partners, along with their focus on continuous innovation, has helped them stay competitive. This has contributed to Sweden's ability to combine economic growth with reduced emissions and a lower overall environmental impact. As a part of our commitment to the Paris Agreement, Sweden has a set target of net zero emissions of greenhouse gases by 2045. We are working hard to reduce plastic pollution and to protect biodiversity. The private sector is key in these endeavors. The green transition is not only necessary to achieve a more sustainable society, it is also an economic opportunity. Swedish industry continues to showcase how innovation for sustainable solutions give a market edge. Sustainability is profitable, both economically and from a life quality and societal perspective, and Sweden wants to partner with Thailand on this journey. Today, you will meet several representatives from Swedish industries. They will share their visions on everything from clean energy to sustainable transport solutions, resource management, and climate action. So please, take this opportunity to network and to create partnerships for a greener future. I wish you all a successful and inspiring forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, and thank you, Minister, for taking the time to address us. Now it's my pleasure to welcome Kun Krongkanit Ratcharoen, Director General of European Affairs for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand, to give her welcoming remarks.
Her Excellency Mrs. Anna Hammargren, Ambassador of Sweden to Thailand, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to be here with you today at the Sweden-Thailand Sustainability Forum 2024, a testament to the close collaboration between Sweden and Thailand through our embassies, namely the Embassy of Sweden in Bangkok and the Royal Thai Embassy in Stockholm. This forum not only reflects the strong and enduring bilateral relations of Thailand and Sweden, but also testifies to our shared commitment to sustainability, a key pillar in both countries' visions for the future. Thailand is among the top 10 countries most affected by the long-term risk of climate change. Recognizing this, we take sustainability very seriously and are fully committed to achieving carbon neutrality by 2050 and net zero by 2065. However, climate change is a global challenge that no single country can address alone. The urgency of global warming demands collective and immediate action. In this effort, international cooperation is crucial, and the role of the private sector with its capabilities, flexibility, and resources is essential in tackling this challenge. Additionally, partnerships with countries as committed to sustainability as Sweden are key to achieving our goals. Given that Sweden has long been a global leader in innovative sustainability solutions, while Thailand is ambitiously thriving in this area. I am delighted that in the coming session, experts from both countries will have the opportunity to exchange best practices on sustainable innovation, focusing on energy and resource efficiency, as well as green mobility. These are the areas where Sweden and Thailand can work hand in hand. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, energy is the engine that drives modern economies, and the need for more efficient and sustainable energy systems is paramount. Thailand has been steadily advancing its renewable energy capacity. Our green transition goal is among the most ambitious in Southeast Asia, with a comprehensive plan to achieve a 50% share of renewables in energy production by 2040, while ensuring energy security for our people. Alongside energy efficiency, resource management is another crucial area where innovation is the key. Thailand recognizes that responsible consumption and production are essential for long-term environmental sustainability. And we are committed to enhancing resource efficiency and minimizing waste through the bio-circular green economy model. We are also eager to explore advanced technologies and innovations to boost competitiveness and mitigate impacts on the environment throughout the supply chain across our industries by deepening our collaboration with Sweden. On the green mobility frontier, Thailand stands at an exciting crossroads. Our rapidly growing electric vehicle industries, ranking the first in ASEAN, reinforce our strong commitment to become a regional hub for green mobility. We recognize that the transition to EVs is not only vital for reducing carbon emissions, but also for creating healthier and more livable cities for our people. Our early success in promoting green mobility is no coincidence, but a result of Thailand's proactive policies and robust ecosystems. Moving forward, we are also eager to tap into Sweden's world-leading expertise in sustainable transport systems to further accelerate our progress. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am confident that today's forum will serve as a dynamic platform for exchanging ideas, building partnerships, and most importantly, reinforcing our shared commitment to sustainability. Together, Thailand and Sweden can continue to lead the charge toward a greener, more sustainable future for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And to discover a bit more about how Sweden and Thailand work together for the last 156 years, we are very excited to present to you the world premiere of a video presentation, Swedish Footprint in Thailand. 1 minute and 20 seconds about the last 150 years. Please enjoy. Wow, isn't that something? A round of applause, I think. So the aim of today's forum is to continue this journey and to share experiences of how we can work together on sustainability. We will have 2 sessions. In our first session, we will look into sustainable innovation for energy and resource efficiency. We are honored to have 4 representatives of Swedish companies here on stage who will share their experiences in the journey towards sustainability. These companies are in the forefront of implementing climate-conscious measures and to contribute to sustainable approaches through innovations. And last week, Sweden was once again rewarded one of the world's most innovative countries in the world, and actually the most innovative countries in Europe. And we are very proud to see the Swedish companies leading the way. Our second session will focus on green mobility and how to accelerate the transition to sustainable urban mobility. What are the challenges and the opportunity? Representatives from Swedish companies in Thailand and the Electrical Vehicle Association of Thailand will engage in a discussion of the future of urban mobility. For many countries, including Sweden, transportation is one of the main sectors that we need to innovate in order to cut emissions. So stay tuned for that. You will have opportunities to ask questions after each presentation. But without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Fredrik Lindblom from Saab. Fire away.
ขอบคุณครับลีน่าสวัสดีครับผมชื่อเฟรดริกผมทำงานที่บริษัท Saab. I hope I said that my name is Fredrik and I work for the company Saab. And that was probably the most difficult part of my presentation here today. I'm truly excited, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to talk a little bit about today something we call digital tower. And I hope right now you're wondering what is digital tower, and in about 10 minutes or so I have managed to convey the message that this is something very innovative that is really changing the industry of air traffic transport and air traffic management. But let me start, before I start to talk about that, to introduce Saab very briefly. And I like to bring up this because I think it's good to mention many people that think about Saab think about cars. And we used to make cars, but not since 2004 we have made any cars in any factories in Sweden. They were beautiful, they were very nice to drive, and I know some people in the audience drive Saabs. Already got some thumbs up there, that's great. But what we are today is actually a defense and security company. And I want to take you back 87 years back in time, actually where it all started for Saab, 1937. Saab actually started by the initiative of the government of Sweden during the World War II, where there was a mission or decision made by the government that we, as Sweden, need to be able to produce and manufacture fighter jets to be able to defend ourselves. You can see those fighter jets on the right-hand side of the slide. Very different one what they look today. But of course, 87 years later, Saab is a very, very different company than what we were when we started in 1937. Today, we are present in over 100 customer countries, all the way from in the West to the East here in Asia. And we are, of course, very proud to have been doing business here in Thailand for a little bit more than 40 years. And we are very proud of the partnerships and the work that we have done here together with the Thai government and the local industry as well. So, in the Saab portfolio today, we have a range of different products. We saw in the video the Gripen fighter, which is operated here in Thailand as well by the Royal Thai Air Force. And then I don't know if you can see here on your right-hand middle part of the slide here, is also submarines. So we do produce defense-related and security-related products all the way from fighter jets to submarines and more or less anything in between. Today I'm not going to talk about those. You're more than welcome to visit the Swedish pavilion and we can talk more about that later on. But I'm going to talk about the digital tower that you see on the left-hand side of the slide here. Super important for Saab to be in the position we are is that we invest a lot in research and development. 17% of our sales goes into research and development. And we're a company of 22,000 people globally, and 11 of those thousands, or 50% of our staff, are involved in research and development, just emphasizing how important this is as a company. Just as important is the sustainability agenda, and Saab's objective long-term by 2030 is to be a leader in sustainability in the defense sector. And we are working actively according to an established strategy to achieve that by 2030. And one important part is to contributing to resilient and safe societies. And that's really where I'm going to talk about the digital tower part. So now I'm going to zoom in to the topic at hand. And we're, of course, striving to meet the UN sustainability goals, United Nations sustainability goals. All right, it's not going to be a quiz, but I do hope you recognize this airport. It's Sweden-Thailand Airport. And I'm sure many of you have traveled in and out of that one many, many times. So why do I bring up this picture? Well, airports play a critical role in developing sustainable cities. This has been recognized by the UN, United Nations organ, International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO. And if you read that first statement, sustainable cities cannot thrive without sustainable, efficient, and integrated transport systems. Part of that are airports. So, Saab, we contribute to that with one of our products, the digital tower. So if you look at this airport again, and you focus on the tower that you see in the middle of the picture, or to the left-hand side of the picture, in that air traffic control tower, you have air traffic controllers that are looking out the windows to make sure you and I, as passengers, can land and depart safely and taxi around the airport safely in the aircraft. But why do you need to build a tower like this? This costs a lot of money. It has quite a huge environmental impact, and it's not super efficient to build. They usually take a very long time. So why could we not replace that brick and mortar tower with video cameras that are actually then able to video what's going on the airport, transport that video images over secure networks to a remote location where you have air traffic controllers doing the same job that they do today when they sit up in that tower. It's already happening. This is not fiction. And we say air traffic management with this innovative technology can be done from anywhere. And here you actually see a real installation in Sweden, up in Sundsvall. It's up north in Sweden. And that tower that you see there, with the cameras on top of that tower, takes about 2 weeks to install, compared to building a regular tower that can take multiple years and costs multiple billion of Thai baht. This is a very cost-effective and efficient way of providing air traffic control at everything from small airports to large airports, like Sweden-Thailand Airport. And the air traffic controllers, they will sit in an environment like this. I hope you can see it. It's a little bit dark. But they sit in front of screens where the video image is presented to them, and they can exercise safe operations for us as travelers in aircraft. What's even more exciting about this is that now, when the images are digitalized, we're not no longer looking out the window, is that we can apply artificial intelligence on top of that to enhance safety for us as passengers. What we also can do with this technology, since we now can sit from anywhere, I can actually sit at home more or less doing it, but okay, that's a stretch, is that we can now co-locate airports into one center. As you can see here in this 3D drawing, is that you actually have two airports in one center, in one building, meaning that air traffic controllers can work at airport number 1 today and airport number 2 tomorrow. That's not possible today. If you work in the Sweden-Thailand Tower, you will not be able to go down to Phuket to work tomorrow. Resource efficiency as part of this is a critical and key component of the solution. And this is already happening. Again, in this drawing you see the map of Sweden. The black dots represent airports where you have this technology already implemented, all the way up from north in Kiruna, if you're familiar with that city, down to the south, all the way down to Gotland, the island that you can see here. All of those airports have the cameras We transmit the images from those cameras to one remote tower center where you're doing air traffic control. And here is actually a picture of the first in the world remote tower center, and that's located in Sundsvall. And you can see in the picture here we have two different airports displayed or in the picture. Here is also a very exciting thing that was done in Sälen. I know you have many beautiful tourist islands and places where we can go in Thailand. In Sweden we have ski resorts where tourists go in the winter to ski. Due to the demand in Sälen up north, they had to build an airport to cope with the demand. Therefore, they decided to build a new airport, and instead of building a traditional tower, they put up this digital tower, cameras at the airport, and then operating the airport from a remote location, meaning that you can provide remote tower services on demand only during the winter season, and then you can close down the airport. Here's another example. This is really innovative. Here you actually enable us to do remote tower control of multiple airports at the same time. This woman here is doing air traffic control at 3 airports at the same time. Also truly innovative and something that is coming. Last but not least, this will be my final slide, Lina, is that we have also developed the concept of deployable remote tower. Here you can see that we're putting it on a vehicle, and this is something that will be extremely valuable for disaster recovery events. Example, flooding of an airport, air traffic control tower is down. You can deploy this in 30 minutes and you're good to go. So with that said, I know, Lina, I'm finishing up here. I'm going to say thank you. I hope I've managed to provide you a glimpse of what digital tower technology can provide in terms of effective deployment of these kind of services in a very also sustainable way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Frederick. Before I let you off the stage, may I just ask if any of this technology is already available in Thailand or in the region?
Well, what I can say is that there is a huge interest from different government organizations such as Aerothai here in Thailand that are looking into implementing this, but currently there's no implementation of this technology in Asia, nor of course then in Thailand. But in Europe, it's really being rolled out on a wide scale today. Yes.
Let's hope to welcome this technology to Thailand soon. Thank you so much, Frederick.
ขอบคุณครับ
Let us now welcome our second speaker, Dr. Warawut Warutama Pornsu from Hitachi Energy, to talk more about Hitachi's work to accelerate sustainable energy through digitalization. Dr. Warawut, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. ครับสวัสดีครับผมวรวุฒิวรุตมาพรสุนะครับจากบริษัท Hitachi Energy ประเทศไทยจำกัดนะครับ So my name is Warawut Walutama Ponsu from Hitachi Energy. Your Excellency and ladies and gentlemen and all guests, today I will present about accelerating a sustainable energy future by digitalization. Okay, before moving to the topic, let me introduce about Hitachi Energy. Hitachi Energy is in the Hitachi Group and we do the business related to the sustainable energy. We have our purpose that is advancing a sustainable energy future for all. We are advancing our energy system to be more sustainable, secure, and also the flexible. As a global technology leader, we collaborate with customers and partners to enable the sustainable energy future for the generation, this generation, and also generation to come. We also operate with the sustainability at the heart. And you can see from the slide that we have focusing on the 12 SDGs out of the 17 SDGs. We have employees, 45,000 people, and have the headquarters in Zurich, Switzerland. and we operate more than 90 countries and have the footprint several countries including Thailand. Sweden is a strong footprint for us that have the factory and the innovation and key technology related to the sustainable energy. So when we talk about energy, sustainable energy, we need to mention about the energy transition. Now we are moving to the energy transition with several drivers. There are three main drivers. One is increasing of renewable energy. It also has been predicted that by 2050, there will be 4 times of the renewable energy in the system. We also see that increasing of the investment in the renewable energy. Second thing is on electrification. Transportation is one of examples. We also see in the heavy industry like metal, steel, and so on. And the last driver, that is also the hot topic, is about the hydrogen, the alternative carrier. The driving the electrification to be much more than, let's say, to be more than double by 2050. So it means that electricity will become backbone of the entire energy system. As more important is there will be more than 3 times of energy will be transmitted into the system. So when we are talking about the sustainable energy, the keyword is carbon neutrality. The keyword is also about net zero. We are talking about the carbon neutral energy system, or we can imply to the carbon neutral power system. What are needed? Technology is one of them. Another one is partnership. Energy transition is huge. No single company can do this. One nation also cannot do this. So they need a collaboration. Collaboration by all parties related to the business model, related to the regulatory framework, related to the collaboration between the companies, among the companies. So these are very important. Remember, this is the last number 17 of the SDG, the partnership. And if we talk about technology, we can actually categorize into 3 fundamental technologies that we're talking about energy transition to enable the sustainable energy future. One is power electronics. Second is sustainable product and solutions. And the last one is digitalization. You all might hear about the several technologies, but those can be categorized into these 3 areas. So talking about power electronics, I think that everyone aware, the one that close to us, like the charger, or even the larger scale, like the HVDC that connect, for example, offshore wind farm to the grid. We talk about the sustainable product and solutions. We're talking about the product that has a lower environmental impact, has a lower carbon footprint. The last one, digitalization. We're talking about using data to make the system more efficient. We're talking about how to leverage using these technology to enable the decarbonization, to enable the sustainable energy future. So remember, each gigawatt of the clean energy, we are talking a lot about renewable energy. But adding this renewable energy into the system, it means that you need to be balanced of the increasing of the grid capacity, of the power system capacity, and flexibility to meet security, reliability, and resilience. So this picture might show to you about the whole energy value chain. When we are talking about the energy system or the power system, it can categorize into generation, transmission, distribution, and users. Nowadays, there are many assets that connect to the system that is different from the old days. And these are the technology that have been added on. And then to enable the sustainable energy. If we talk about the digitalization, It can cover the whole total life cycle, starting from planning, build, operate, and also maintain. There are many digitalization technology that can help to plan and optimize, reduce cost and risk that is related to the risk management during the building, ensure reliable, safe, and economic operation, and then optimize the maintenance. And these actually all together, it can help the partner, the customer, to connect and automate both physical and also business process. Key example of the digital technology, like for example, you look at the plan stage, something like digital twins. I believe that some of you are already familiar with this term, energy solution consulting, or we move to build. I think during COVID time, we see a lot of this technology like the remote factory acceptance test, virtual training, virtual commissioning. Also operate and maintain, AI-driven operations, optimize workforce, and so on. So this may show you by the picture about the portfolio or the solution that might be suitable for the of us. Starting from software, also connectivity, and also the sensor and some equipment in the field. So, short one, and as a conclusion, digitalization can be considered as a key technology to enable sustainability future, as well as an enabler for the accelerating the energy transition that make the visibility of the asset from the control room, from the people in the field, and also along the entire life cycle. And very important that I would just like to mention here as well, at the end of the day, partnership is very important. All technology are available and also will be continued developed. But in order to enable the sustainable energy future completely, we also need the collaboration and the partnership for all of us. So I end the presentation with some recognition from external of Hitachi Energy. It is not only that we provide the technology to the customer, to the partner, and to everyone, but we also, in our own operation, that we also need to be sustainable. So, if anyone would like to learn more about the technology, on the digital technology innovation, please visit the Swedish pavilion as well. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Warawut, and please don't hesitate to go to the Swedish pavilion and ask more questions to Frederick and Warawut and our other speakers. But privilege of the host, if I may ask you, you talk about partnerships to overcome this huge energy challenge that we have in front of us. What are the most important drivers for these partnerships to happen, you think?
Very important is about the alignment of the goal. So everyone have the goal that would like to achieve something, and we're going on the same direction, then it's also easy to collaborate.
Thank you so much, and we for sure hope that this forum will kick off and be the beginning of some of those partnerships. So thank you so much, Dr. Warawut.
Thank you very much.
Now it is time to invite our third speaker to the stage. From Al-Falawal, may I invite Kun Prasit Sri Adsada Wottakun. Thank you.
Thank you. ขอบคุณครับ สวัสดีครับ สวัสดีครับทุกท่าน Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Your Excellency, distinguished guests. It's an honor for me today to share the inspiration story from Al-Falawal. My name is Prasit Siyasada Wutagun. I'm the head of Food and Water in Southeast Asia. The topic that select today is close to Thailand economy. It's something that we see as a strength, which is foods, right? Thailand is being recognized as a strength in a food country. I'm so proud today that Al-Falawal have some inspiration story to share with you today. So let me introduce what is Al-Falawal. Al-Falawal is Swedish origin companies, started 140 years ago. And with that, the optimizing of the customer process is always the core of whatever we do. Resource usage, recycling, optimizing the usage of power is always a business model that we are hanging on. So we operate in 3 verticals: in energy sector, in food and water sector, and in maritime sector as well. So our technology is based on 3 groups of technologies. Number 1 is heat transfer, is thermal transfer. Anything that need heating and need cooling, that is out of our calling for. The second one is about separation between the fluids, separation between the solids. That's how we are expert at. And the last technology is about how we handling the fluid between different places, different locations, how we control the fluids. That's what we are good at. So today I'm going to share one selected case in the edible oil sector, which is really representing economy in Thailand. Arohwa itself, we are focusing on energy efficiency. We have a solution and working with partner to help our partner, our customer, to reduce energy consumption, to make energy more useful, to capture energy to be reused again. We also provide solution and working with partner to make sure the food is safe, the waste that coming from the production has been minimized. We also have worked with circularity concept, which basically how to extend the lifetime of our products at the customer, but also how we can improve the length of the materials to be used and reused into the system. That's called circularity. And lastly, as part of water solution, we have purification and filtration technologies to help in municipal treatment as well. So Arohwa has been recognized in science-based targets initiatives since February last year. It's one of the institute to confirm that the corporate is taking the target, the climate goals target seriously. And for us, carbon neutral is within 2030 has been set and approved by SBT. And just this year in April, we also been recognized in Financial Times Climate Leaders Dashboard in Europe. Arohwa contribute to 15 of 17 of UN Sustainability Development Goals. So this shows how we are actually talk about sustainability, but we also act on it as well. So look at closer, you may ask why edible oil is so important to us. Edible oil, considering here in palm oil in particular, has a major impact in economic development, especially in the southern part of Thailand. It's representing 1.1% of Thailand GDP. It impacts 500,000 of household farmers. And if you calculate that by 4 members in one householders, it's representing 2 to 3 million people we talk about that impact from palm oil industry. So it's large in terms of the impacts in society, in economics, but also the aspect of sustainability, because whenever we produce the palm oil, there's a need to be able to manage and treat the wastewater coming out from that. Palm oil has been seen as a dirty business for a long time. But this slide just to show you that compared to the rest of the oil seeds in terms of land space that can produce, give a yield, palm oil is more than 4 times giving the yield compared to the next best alternative. In this case, you can compare between the rapeseed oil, sunflower oil, and soybean oils, right? Palm oil is basically produce much more yield. To replace the usage of palm oil in the same amount, that also means that the land will be required even more, right? The deforestation will be even more. The conclusion will be that in terms of resource efficiency, palm oil is second to none with that. You may not know that the chocolate that you may have, the detergent that you use, is containing palm oil as part of ingredient. So palm oil is part of our day-to-day life. The lotion that you use also contains palm oil ingredient there. So it's always very important, and the demand is astronomical expanding from a global perspective. And you might not know that out of Southeast Asia, the top 3 countries in the world that produce the palm oil is within Thailand. Thailand is one of the largest producer and exporter of palm oil. So that's challenge, right? That's productivity. We need to get it out from palm oil, extract it. But whenever we process the palm oil, there will be a requirement to treat whatever left from a wastewater, and that's what we call palm oil mill effluent or pome. When it's open in a huge space, it gives a smell. It also emits the methane gas, which is part of greenhouse gas. So if you don't treat it well, there's no resource to be recovered, which means the fine solid inside the discharge water you basically waste. It can also damage the groundwater source as well. So there is issue also how to really manage this. The more and more higher requirements for government to manage and control this level of discharge quality of water. So let me give you some tangible example in one of the location, one of our partner that really use these applications and work with pome.
Palm oil millers are under increasing pressure to both increase yield and comply with strict environmental regulations. Traditionally, millers use ponding system to manage palm oil mill effluent or pome before discharging into the river. But ponding alone could not meet low BOD discharge requirements. Alpha Laval Pome VAP combines the big benefits of evaporation and separation. Raw pome from the sludge pit is pumped into the heater via a feed pump. Steam will be used as a heating medium to evaporate the water from the pome. When the pome is evaporated until the required concentration, this fraction will be pumped out as solid concentrate. The evaporated vapor then goes through a condenser, with cooling water acting as a condensing medium, and comes out as processed distillate. Millers can now comply with strict regulations and generate byproduct with potential for further oil recovery. And keep the environment free of harmful waste. On top of that, the liquid byproduct from the Alpha Laval Pome VAP system can be further polished and released back to the environment. With the ability to turn pome into new water, millers can now enjoy sustainable pome management.
That gives us a summary of what is possible for us to turning the wastewater to become a resourceful that use the water back to the system, and the discharge of the solid that be segregated from the pome can be used for fertilizer, can use for animal feed as well. So it's clearly the technology is a solution that addressing environmental impacts, make a better profits for the millers, make a better in terms of communities to enjoy, less odor, less water be damaged, and ultimately is giving the sustainable generations to come in the future. So thanks for your time. We are happy to listen to you, how we would like to partner and work with you to help you to achieve the sustainability goals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kumprasit. Don't exit the stage just yet.
Okay.
So this was a little bit maybe for some new perspectives on palm oil. So would you say that the reputation of palm oil as a dirty business is an old perception?
it is really a critic perspective about dirty, right? So we need to balance between what has been the economical values and what would be the mitigating and governance there. So we need to apply the technologies. We need to make sure that the governance of how the millers, the mill owners, working with such example on this chart. So it's really bring the technologies into practices, and that is one of the solutions that we can provide. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kun Prasit. So now, may I invite our last speaker for the first session to the stage, Mr. Simon Prothero from SKF, and you will present SKF's work on recycling industrial oil. Welcome up. Give him a round of applause.
Okay, here we go. Excellencies, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Simon Prothero and I head up the Lubrication Management Division of SKF across Southeast Asia, Australia and New Zealand. I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about a technology that we have in our organisation called Recond Oil, which is now offering clean technology options for the circular use of oil. I guess a little bit of background to SKF wouldn't hurt. SKF, of course, to many people would be known as a bearing company, and that is, of course, still the core business of what we do today. We are 44,000 people around the world approximately, with offices in over 130 countries, but often not something that people think about hidden away in industry. Our commitment to sustainability is very, very strong. Our framework for this is SKF Care. This is care towards our business, the business that we do every day, looking towards the future of our business. It's care towards the environment, that environment that we operate in. It's about transportation, it's about our operations, it's about ensuring the future of what we do. That care also extends to our employees, for inclusion, for equality, for diversity, and of course it also extends into our communities that we work in. Our mission is intelligent and clean growth. By intelligent, we mean connected and tailored solutions for our customers and using connected technologies to make our own operations more efficient. The clean part of it reflects our ability to make industry more sustainable. We want industry to be clean and more sustainable whilst running our own business in a transparent and responsible manner. We see the world changing. This is why I guess we're all here today. We're changing with it too. Our goal is net zero for our own operations by next year. We're not stuffing around, as it were. By 2030, our entire supply chain, from raw material all the way through to the finished product, will be net zero. We're very serious about this. This is a serious commitment from SKF. Recond Oil is a big part of it. This is a technology that allows us to use oil in a circular way rather than use it and discard it. We're using this as a join the circular movement, as it were. Today, oil is treated as a consumable. In our own operations around the world, our manufacturing operations, we use up to 12,000 litres of oils per month for honing, for grinding, for gear box applications, hydraulics, and quenching oils. Traditionally, this is used, disposed of, that's the end of it. This is costly, and of course it's unsustainable moving forward. That used oil is hazardous, contains contaminants. And of course, 1 litre of fresh oil can contaminate up to 1 million litres of fresh water. The other thing that we see with it as well is that the oil usage contributes to carbon emissions. A life cycle analysis of oil that we've commissioned shows that up to 40 kilos of carbon dioxide are emitted for every 1 tonne of oil that is consumed. Without proper disposal for oil in place, 50% of all lubricants end up in the environment. And we see this as an example from India. We see 1.3 million tonnes of used oil annually, yet less than 15% of that is actually re-refined. So it's a pretty serious issue. So this is what we have today, SKF Recond oil. The idea here is that we want to move away from oil being a consumable, an expensive and harmful consumable, into something that can be sustainable, reused and treated like an asset. So I guess the question is, how do we do that? There are plenty of mechanical filters out there today that enable people to filter the lubricants that they have. But the majority of these filters do not filter down to a nano level. The best that most of these filters can do are particles of 1 micron and above, but these particles only make up around about 20% of the contamination that we see in these oils. That other 80%, those nanoparticles, are not able to be removed. The technology we have, we're calling double separation technology. This is a combination of a chemical and a mechanical solution to remove the contaminants from the oil, either during production or as a separate use. We have a chemical booster that is mixed in with the oil, and that booster attracts all of those nanoparticles to it and it clumps them together. We pass it through an exceptional mechanical filter. The filter itself is actually next level, but combined with the booster technology, we are able to provide a very, very clean oil down to a nano level. And this is what the booster does. It pulls out all of these things: varnish, wear particles, the consumed additives, clumps them all together, and we pass it through the filter to remove them from the oil itself. We can scale this. We've done large versions, as you can see on the right there, all the way down to the Recond oil box, which is a small single application unit, and if you want to see one of these, we actually have a demonstration unit sitting over here on the stand. Please feel free to come over and see us. And this is what it looks like in application. In this instance, it's in one of our factories, and it acts as a kidney loop to the application. The unit is attached, the oil is fed into it, fed through the filter and back out, and it comes out clean continuously. During the operation of the machine, continues to repeat and repeat and repeat. So one system giving 3 functions: nanofiltration, varnish removal and water removal, all at the same time. And what we see is if we can create this circular use of oil, the carbon dioxide emissions are reduced by up to 99%. We've measured this. This was research undertaken by the Swedish Environmental Research Institute. And this is stuff that we can actually prove. This is what we're showing. This is the information that comes from it. The carbon footprint of 1 cubic metre of oil compared between using a Recond oil box, the baseline, and then the baseline with actually having to create waste management for that used oil. And there's a very, very large difference between them. This is just, I guess, an idea behind it around the differing, obviously that treatment of waste oil is dependent on electricity usage, and we calculate it depending on that electricity usage from different parts of the world. So what we want to do is go from take, make and waste to a circular use of oil. What that gives us as an outcome is obviously a sustainability improvement, a cost reduction in the amount of oil that you use, and ultimately even, as I guess an added bonus, performance improvement. Cleaner oil equals better performance and a longer life from your machinery. And thank you everybody. Please feel free to come and see us at the unit itself at the Swedish Chamber stand.
Thank you so much, Simon. Round of applause for you. Extremely impressive to see your net carbon target also for 2025. So please, Simon and his team are in the pavilion. Go and see them after the forum. That was the end of our first session, and I would like to thank all our 4 speakers who have shown us that it's possible not only to reduce their own environmental footprint, but also how innovation can lead to sustainable development. So thank you so much. And as we all know, we need to transform all the sectors that they have been talking about in order to deliver on the green transition: transportation, food, energy, and industry. And as representing Sweden, of course, we are very proud to see Swedish companies leading the way for a greener and more innovative future. So a round of applause for all our speakers from the first session. And now I would like to hand over the microphone to Mr. Lars Svensson, who will lead us through the final session of the forum, focusing on green mobility. Lars, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone, and great to be here, and Your Excellency and distinguished guests, and everyone who's come here to view this. We will have an exciting session now, where we'll have a question and answer session here between a few stakeholders from the Swedish industries. And it will be around green mobility. And we'll look and explore how Thailand and the world are moving towards a more sustainable transportation and the necessity of doing that. So as cities are expanding, and everyone knows the impact it can be in the traffic in Thailand when it's raining or it's Salary Friday, and how you can be stuck there. We know the environmental pressures is paramount and something needs to be done. So we have an incredible lineup today of some specialists, industry specialists. They'll bring their opinion to this session and share with us. So I'd like to start off by inviting Mr. Chris Wales, Managing Director of Volvo Cars Thailand, to the stage. Volvo Cars Thailand, they are one of the pioneers in the electrification of personal vehicles, and especially if you look at the whole value chain. We've been instructed here, so you should sit straight down here. What you might not know about Chris is the fact he used to be a drummer, just like myself. And apparently, he doesn't have a band right now. So afterwards, anyone interested in starting a band with Chris, look him up afterwards here. Then I'd like to invite up to the stage here Kun Siamnat Panason. For short, he's called Beer. He is the Vice President of the Electric Vehicle Association Thailand EVAT. And he's overlooking now the industry and the business development, EV manufacturing, and looking at driving EV adaptation in the region. You might also not know that he's a passionate car collector of Swedish cars. He got 5 Saabs. Sorry, Chris, but he got 3 Volvos as well.
3, which is good.
And I know his wife is here in the audience, and she tested one of the Saabs and recently got fined, I think, by the police of Thailand. You were driving 140, was that correct? Yeah, so they're testing the cars here as well. Got a ticket here as well to prove it. For car lessons later on, you can come and look up Kun Beer afterwards. And then finally we would have Mr. Andrew Twan, who's the Vice President here and head of digital service of Ericsson in Singapore, Philippines, Brunei, Pacific Island, and not the least Thailand. And as I understand also you have both an Australian and a Vietnamese heritage.
Yes.
So those are the two markets left then you need to cover in your next appointment for the promotion
right,
here.
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dive into this, how we can accelerate the shift to sustainable urban mobility. And I'll start with you, Chris. Volvo has been a global leader in committing to an all-electric future, as has been discussed here. And what role do you see Volvo playing in Thailand's transition to electric vehicles? And what are the most significant challenges do you see here in that conversion?
I mean, I would say that we started it back in 2020. So this is a journey that we've been on for the last 4 years. So from 2020 up to now, we've always sold what we call cars with a cord. I think the Thai consumers are very, very advanced when it comes to new technology. And if you take, for example, the usage of smartphones and how we pay for things using smartphones in Thailand, it's happened very, very fast. So technology isn't a blocker at all. I think, we talked a lot of time about charging infrastructure. I don't personally believe that that is a blocker either, because if I look at Volvo, 80% this year of Volvo cars on Thai roads are pure electric Volvos. But what I would say is that an electric car today isn't going to be for everybody. If you drive long distances in one go, then today it might not be the right choice for you, but there is a gap in between, which is normally what we call a plug-in hybrid. So we know, for example, from the data from the car, that close to 60% of people that have a plug-in hybrid today use that car on a daily basis with pure electricity only. So we see our job actually as we need to transition the other 40% to use that car on pure electricity. But what I would say is that battery technology is advancing very, very fast. You're going to hear me say this now, that within the next few years, you'll be getting 1,000 kilometers from one charge. And it will happen very, very fast.
All right, thank you. So technology is not the issue really. We talk about the infrastructure is in place. It's actually about behavior and also, I suppose, policies to some extent.
Behavior, policies. I mean, anybody can build an electric car, but not everybody can build an electric car sustainably. And what do I mean by that? Well, if I take, for example, Volvo, 92% of the waste that happens at production of a new car, we recycle and reuse. We also have renewable electricity across 74% of our global operations. And that actually is here in Thailand as well.
Right, thank you. So looking at the policy, looking at the infrastructure, Kunbir, if you look at from an industry perspective, because you're one of the large lobbyists here, you can say, and advising the Thai government of what needs to be done, what do you think are the current roadblocks to scale EV adaptation here in Thailand? And what steps is EVAT doing then to address these?
All right. Talking about the usage of the EV in Thailand, I think Thailand has been doing pretty well. The growth of the EV adoption has been pretty quick, thanks to the very supportive government policies. The EV 3.0, EV 3.5 were one of the biggest supporters in the EV adoption. However, if you talk about the roadblocks, I have seen two perspectives. Number one, I wouldn't say the roadblocks, but okay, I think it's shown in the slide up there. Thailand last year produced 1.84 million units. And look on the right-hand side, the majority of the production were pickup trucks. And I would say the pickup trucks can be challenging in being electrified because the usage of the Thai people, one car has to be multi-purpose. It has to be able to use for everything, transporting goods, commuting, pick up the wife or the kids from the school, something like that. And the structure of the body on frame, maybe you know more than I do, the body on frame structure can be challenging in being electrified. And this is one thing. The EV pickup might not fit the usage of the Thai people right now, but in the future, maybe. And secondly, I would say the household debt is alarmingly high in Thailand this year. Last year, we produced 1.84 million units. This year, I cannot say the forecast intentionally. Maybe you
It's
do.
lower.
Much
It's
lower, I would
yes.
say, because the household debt is approximately 91% of the Thai GDP. This is alarmingly high, and as a result, the bank is tightening the loan. And unfortunately, customers here in Thailand rely so much on the loan from the bank to buy the car. I don't have the figure for the EV, but for the pickup sector, 95% of the customer depend on the loan from the bank. So the market this year is going down dramatically. So I would say two challenges, two roadblocks here.
Thank you. So we've seen in the newspaper daily almost the issue with the depth of the households and what needs to be addressed to address that. And then I think you think the same way. It's a lot about the adaptation of actually the technology as well among the consumers, etc., to make it happen. Then I'll turn to you now, Andrew. Ericsson, known as being the connector for everything. And as we know and when we see when it comes to electrical vehicle and the industry, it's all also about the software and how Internet of Things can transform that and drive it, including when it comes to automated. So from your perspective then, how can 5G and those technologies help to enhance that electric infrastructure and support sustainable urban mobility, and even possibly here in Thailand then help with the adaptation from the consumers?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question, Lars. Most people associate 5G with these devices, right? So that's the connectivity piece. But 5G actually provides ultra high speeds, high reliability, low latency, and real-time positioning. Now, if you apply that instead of to a mobile phone, to a vehicle, whether it be electric or otherwise, then you get a very different approach to the connectivity. How do you control these things? How do you do all of this differently? So this is the innovation. This is the game changer that enhances what the electric vehicles do and behave on the roads. But it goes beyond that. So if you see here, and I'll give you some examples, 5G globally, there are trials and there are real use cases where collaboration between EV manufacturers, the connectivity providers, the service providers, and governments and countries are starting to showcase how 5G actually makes a big difference. So we see here with a European example where they're now connecting cross-border so that there's seamless coverage for those connected vehicles to be able to get from one place to another without having interruption, without having disruption, to provide a good service for those people who are wanting to use that kind of capability. That's one. The other one to consider is V to X. What does V to X mean? Well, think V to V is vehicle to vehicle. You're driving along, there's a vehicle in front of you. Your car, if it's connected, it's got the brains, it can potentially avoid an incident or an impact. But what's V to X? Well, you're not driving in isolation. X is anybody, anything that is also there. People, connected cities, other pieces of equipment that are on the road. That is something that we're doing in Australia, in trials there already. So these are the kinds of things that actually enhance all of the capabilities in the technology. So it requires 5G, it requires the vehicles, but it also requires an ecosystem, And I think that's extremely critical in terms of understanding how the role of each of us play in that ecosystem.
Lars, if I can add that,
Yes,
you've heard of something called over-the-air updates. So this is where the days when you buy a new car, you have the latest technology. Those days have gone. We can update the technology in your car, but in order to do that, we need the 5G connectivity. So without the 5G connectivity, we can't do the over-the-air updates. That means that your car will be like it was, let's say, 5 years ago, where you have to buy a new car to get the latest software.
Yeah.
It's very, very important.
Right, so we come back to the point here, and I think, Lena, you talked about it as well, and all the previous speakers in this previous session. The UN Sustainable Development Goal 17 about partnership, how important that is. And I can tell you, I can't wait until I see an example where my car is connected to a traffic light in Ratchada Pisek, so I don't have to wait 20 minutes before it turns around, right? I hear there's supposed to be one intersection in Bangkok that is now available with the technology, but I have yet to discover which one it is. Let me know when that happens. But I connect back to you also then, Kunbir here. So we talk about the partnerships, private sector, public sector, interest organizations. So how can public-private partnership help to accelerate then the deployment of this necessary infrastructure, including the charging stations, smart grids for the charging aspects, etc.?
Okay. I think Thailand has been doing pretty well in developing the infrastructure, especially the charging station. Here we have statistics of the charging station here in Thailand. Right now we have more than 10,000 public charging stations nationwide. And the ratio right now is 15:1, which means 15 electric vehicles racing for one public charger, which is pretty good because if you compare to the global average around 10:1, I would say Thailand has a decent infrastructure. And you may see on the left-hand side, the leaders here are EA, Energy Absolute, and PTT. And you may also see the authorities like MEA, Metropolitan Electricity Authority, or PEA are doing this business as well. So it's like we join hand in developing the infrastructures here in Thailand. And not to mention the smart grid or the grid optimization, which we believe that the world-class technology from Ericsson can help our government to achieve the carbon neutrality target. And you as well, Volvo cars has a very good quality.
Yeah, I think we have Hitachi as well that spoke just now about smart grids, etc., and talking about that. Okay, so as you can see, we've had some slides here, so this is clearly a curated part of the fireside chat. Let's go into some unknown territory here with the questions. So we mentioned here the adaptation of actually starting with the behaving of switching over to e-mobility, right? So I open this question to any one of you. How do you see consumer behavior evolving in the next 5-10 years, let's say until 2030, when it comes to adopting electric vehicles in Thailand? And is innovation in battery technology and charging solutions, will they play an important role in overcoming then the possibility of anxiety and cost issues, etc.?
You want me to start? Everybody's looking at me and I have no idea, but it's... no, I think, look, I think range anxiety is something that we had a few years ago. And I think people understand that, when you are looking to buy an electric car, it very clearly states how long and how far you can go with that car from zero to the end destination. Where I do see two things that are going to be big game changers, one will be the battery technology. I think, like I said earlier, it's going to be a very short space of time where we're able to develop the chemistry in the battery cells that will give us that 1,000 plus kilometre range with one single charge. But I think it's very important that we don't forget about the country infrastructure. So there is always a finite amount of power coming into any country. And if everybody starts plugging their car in at the same time, that has implications. So I think what we have to look at now is how do we actually use one source of energy that we have a lot of here in Thailand. It's called sunlight, and it's called solar panels. Because we, for example, have now got, I think, 6 solar panel farms at our dealerships where we use the energy from the sun to charge the electric car charging posts. Because that energy will run out at some point, and it's a much cleaner way of doing it. So I think we need to take another step in terms of using the technology that's available today to take that step up and start using a more renewable source to start charging the cars.
Sounds extremely logical. So why isn't it happening already? May I turn to you, maybe? Kunbir?
Okay. I somehow agree with him that the range anxiety will be less and less important for Thai customers. And I think we have learned from the Scandinavian region, for example in Norway, that people tend to charge more at home, tend to use less public charging station and tend to charge more at home. And ideally, if the charger at home can sync perfectly with the solar panel, solar rooftop, it's gonna produce green economy here in Thailand as well. Yep.
All right, so you see a strong connection here about the source of the renewable energy, which is a very important part also if you want to not only electrify the mobility, but also ensure it's sustainable in that sense. And Thailand has policies in place that is starting moving in that direction quite clearly, both when it comes to the ambition of renewable energy, but also creating incentives for that, both privately, etc.
But it's like, for example, you take technology. So we have something called bidirectional charging.
Yeah.
This is where the technology today, if there is a demand on the grid, let's say at peak time where everybody's got their air conditioning on, you can actually redirect the power and the energy that's in your battery to actually power your house or your condo. And then when that demand goes down, it switches back and fills the car back up again. So it's about adapting to this technology that's available because it keeps evolving. You heard about earlier on about digital air traffic control. This stuff is going on all the time and it's not going to stop.
Right. So again, coming back to the possibility of the smart grid. Yes, please, Andrew.
Thank you. So I think it's a few good points, but innovation and technology is only effective if it's convenient and consumable on a large scale.
Yeah.
So if you look at things that are connected now, and we were talking about over-the-air updates, think about in the future, if your car had an app marketplace, just like your phone, and you wanted to avoid, like Kunbir's wife, a speeding fine or a ticket, you could download an app to do that so that your car understood where the cameras were, how fast you were going, and avoiding all of that. Or if you wanted to have an app from a marketplace that said, okay, I don't want a blue car. I want to have a green car. All right. And then your car can change color. So think about the future in terms of the connectivity, how software will drive the technology and shape the way that you use your vehicles, the way that the vehicles are working within the ecosystem, within the environment and beyond there. Because if the average person doesn't make use of this, then there's no sustainability at all. There's no advantage. So I think innovation and technology have to go hand in hand with mass consumption.
Yeah, agree.
All right, so that's what we're looking at right now and the situation and the need. So if you were to envision then what is needed to come into place and how we will look like when it comes to green urban mobility in Thailand by 2030. What is it that we can do not only to accelerate then the EV adaptation as we talked about, but also ensuring it's both sustainable and accessible to the many people, yeah, because that's when you're going to drive the impact. So you got 1 minute each, starting with you, Andrew.
Okay. Well, the good news is that Thailand already has 5G. Okay. The other good news is that there are initiatives already, as you can see on the screen. Not yet. Okay, now, where you have the connected and automated vehicle proving ground. So this is a phased approach to making sure that you have testing and 5G connected vehicles, not just to test for Thailand, but also from a world stage perspective. This is something that's happening at the moment, and it's most likely something that will be more real next year. And I think that's an extremely important way forwards in Thailand, especially in this particular sector.
All right. Thank you. Over to you, Chris.
I'll buy you some time back. I can do this in 20 seconds.
Right.
Price parity between an internal combustion engine car and an electric vehicle. If they're the same price, demand will go up.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I think in addition to the EV adoption in Thailand, I think we need the energy mix in Thailand to be cleaner. Right now, 58% of electricity in Thailand comes from natural gas. Okay, here in the middle, in the pie chart in the middle. But it would be great and it would be ideal that the electricity comes from renewable sources. Imagine we don't have a nuclear source, which is a very low power source in Thailand, but we have to increase the renewable energy shares in Thailand to be able to achieve the carbon neutrality.
Thank you. Well done there. And listening to what you say here, a lot of things are moving in the right direction. A lot of things are in place already. But what has been stated here before and will be stated today here is really about that no one goes alone. It's about the partnership and that there is an overall drive from the government to actually ensure that certain conditions are put in place. We got 30 seconds for a question from the audience, if there's anyone. Could ask and challenge any one of these gentlemen here. Just raise your hand. There will be a microphone coming to your place. We have a gentleman here. And if you just say your name and where you're from, and then you ask the question. Could you stand up and raise your hand so they can find you? Thank you.
So my name is Nob. I'm do the writing for the event organizer here. My question is how the trade war between US and China will affect the EV or production or adoption or the future of sustainability. How does the trade war is affecting that future?
Thank you for the questions. The question was, how can the trade war between China and US, and China, as we know, is a very strong driver when it comes to EV, then impact the aspect around sustainability and the trade? Who would like to take this one?
I think geopolitics is always going to be around. I think Her Excellency is better to answer this than me. But the reality is that it could also be an opportunity. So, for example, if you had trade tariffs in the US, trade tariffs in China, you have Thailand in the middle. We already have the facilities here. Then that can be taken advantage of. So, yes, it can be challenging, but at the same time, I think you should also see it as an opportunity, especially in Southeast Asia or within ASEAN anyway.
All right. Yes, sure.
Okay, I agree with him. Because when Chinese products is getting more and more difficult to export to Europe or the US. So where else? I think Thailand. We have plenty of suppliers out here. 800,000 jobs in the automotive suppliers in Thailand. So we are ready to be the production hub of the EV. And I can see this an opportunity for Thailand to be a production hub of EV and export to the world. And in order to achieve that, our organization is working closely with the Thai government to promote the manufacturing here in Thailand. Not only importing and use it, but the EV 3.5 condition is to do the offset production. Whoever import with the subsidy from the Thai government has obligation to produce here and sell it back or export. I think this is another opportunity for Thailand.
That's the solution. Opportunity in Thailand. Bring all the manufacturing and assembly here to Thailand. We export from here. Avoid the trade wars. Thank you very much. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Chris. And Bear, you will stay back here another while. So a big round of applause for the gentleman on the stage.
Thank you very much. This we should.
It's difficult. Yeah. So we'll move into the next session here. We still talk about green mobility, and we'll look at upstream of the value chain here. And we're going to look at the stakeholders that are a supplier into the EV industry. So continue on the same notion, and we have additional 2 more experts besides, of course, Kumbir, who will stay with us. Thank you for that. So I'd like to welcome here Kun Kongkiat Tekamongol, the CEO from Camphil. A big round of applause from him. He mentioned when I asked him, he said, asked what his specialty is, he said, well, he likes to play a lot of sports, but he's not good at anyone. Well, when I pressed him, you say you're good at ping pong, which is kind of a national sport in Sweden as well. So again, if you want to challenge him from a game afterwards, please do that. I already have challenged him, so we're going to play later on. I have a table at home also. Oh, big time, big time. And then we have Kun Polawat Pilochaikul. He's the Managing Director of Reflex Packaging and NEFAB. And they are known for the sustainable packaging. And what we heard from you here, that you are actually a Muay Thai boxer and you still practice. So we also concluded if we don't have any more words to discuss, fist will take over, but also after the session, yeah.
Thank you.
All right. And I should also mention then that Camphil, you specialize in energy efficient air filtration and filters. That's correct, yeah? Okay. All right, so I will start with you, Kumpol. Reflex packaging or NEFAB, or they are merging together now. You are known for your sustainable packaging solutions. So how are you working then upstream with EV and mobility sectors to reduce the environmental impact through your packaging?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think let's back to some simples because we saw a lot of the hardware, hard product already. So back to the packaging. Reflex packaging is under NEFAB now, and NEFAB has been in the industry over 70 years. And in Thailand, let's move a little bit to the video first, and let's see that what we are doing on the e-mobility. So we have about 20 sites around the world in 38 countries. So you can see that all is about the sustainable solutions, and it's very related to many industries. And e-mobility or lithium battery and also EV is one of industry that we have a lot of customers. We work with the Tesla, we work with the BYD, we work with the CAT-L, so that we can show this example in the future.
All right, thank you. And then over to you, Konkat here. So you are a provider of air filtration and energy efficient systems. So how do you see how your technology then can enhance this aspect around sustainability of the urban mobility?
You don't see our products going around on the road, but we are an enabler of the EV production system. So Camfuel started basically in 1963. Last year we celebrated 60 years anniversaries. In Thailand, we have been here for 20 years now, exactly 20 years this year. And when you look at e-mobility segment, this is one of the growing segment that we are interested in. And when you're looking at the battery, especially battery production facilities, you see those are the typical production process in any battery production factories. And in each of those processes, it emitted gases, emitted dust, particulate matters, which are dangerous and hazardous to people working in the production facilities. And besides filtering out those dangerous particles, you also have to make sure that the air emitted to the environment are safe to the environment and is according to the emission standards. Not many people know that, air filters, it is only one or two products that are standing in the way of the airflow. And while you are sitting basically 100% against the airflow, you are creating static pressure on the system, and that creating energies. We are in the business of protecting people, processes, and the environment. In the battery production facilities, our product help to prevent contaminations. In the electrodes, for battery production, contamination of the electrodes can harm the life of the battery. So in terms of filtration, our products also help to decrease the energy consumption. Okay? Energy efficiency is easy. Any product, any filter product can achieve filter efficiency. But how to do it with energy efficiency and longer lifetime, that is another issue, and that requires R&D and innovation to do it. We have an installation 3 years ago in Rayong, where I think at that time it was the first or one of the first battery production facility in Thailand. And we helped them to install this system with dust collectors and also the molecular filtration, where in those two containers is on redundancy system, where at any moment one is on active and one is on standby. And inside those containers, there are tons, 13.5 tons of carbons filtration to take away the VOCs, okay, before you emitting clean air to the environment.
Thank you. I mean, this will make you happy. I was just renewing a work permit, so you need to go and look for a medical certificate. The one question the doctor asked me, besides taking the blood test, etc., he said, are you going to work in an industry where there are dangerous fumes? And he mentioned EV and battery, etc. So already the doctors at that stage maybe asked me because of my age and afraid I'm going to die very quickly, but at least it's a very current topic. We know that, and that's an important role you play. So besides then providing those filtration solutions then for e-mobility industry in Thailand, what is it that differentiates you from other clean air filtration systems?
In any battery production, you have this HVAC system. Even in this convention hall, you may be breathing air through CAMFIL filters because we are selling our filter through many channels, contractors. But in EV production facilities, what differentiates us from the rest is basically we can provide a comprehensive systems where we have dust collector system where we show you in the case study that we put in Rayong. A dust collector system, a HEPA filtration, and a gas phase filtration. It's very difficult for you to find one company in Thailand who can provide all these different type of filtrations from a single source.
Okay, so you covered the whole solution basically, right? And you're one of the few that can do that. All right, thank you. And here we see again how important it is with the collaboration between, here you up the upstream from the EV industry, but how critical your contribution can be to actually both the sustainable operation, the safe operation of it, but also the profitable operation of it. So coming to you here, so we're coming back to you, Beer. Since you are kind of here the representative of the official Thai EV ecosystem, what role does suppliers like CAMFIL and Reflex Packaging NEFA play to ensure then a sustainable supply chain for this e-mobility?
All right. I think I have to speak very positively to two guys here because they both are also the members of our EV association.
Oh.
Unfortunately, they never pay late membership fee. So thank you very much. Okay, I would say Thailand, we have a national target called 30 at 30, which means 30% of the vehicle production in Thailand in 2030 will be EV. And that is an opportunity for the suppliers. Right now we have automotive suppliers like 2,500 suppliers, and the numbers may be increasing over time because new players. But for these guys, for Reflex and CAMFIL, they are very established company providing innovative solutions and products. So hopefully this opportunity is also valuable for them, and of course their world-class products can fulfill the need of the Thai people.
Well, thank you. It sounds like we're one big happy family here. So I'm going to ask one thing here when it comes to around the challenges and opportunities here. So if I ask you, Kun Paul here on NEFA, what are the main obstacles? So anyone could answer this one actually between the two of you. When it comes to, I'm not sure if it's going to be an obstacle or not, it depends on your clients, but do you encounter obstacles when it comes to convincing urban mobility stakeholders to adopt greener solutions from the supply chain perspective, from your perspective?
Certainly it has the obstacles regarding to the costing that normally the customer will very concerned on this one. But in Thailand, one of the point that we can see comparing to Europe is that in many companies is considering for one cost center rather than for the whole supply chains. We are in the industry of the packaging, so the packaging is actually just one simple cost, but when comparing to the total logistic optimizations, is much more important. For example, one of the cases that we propose to one of the European companies that is changing from corrugated box to the thermoforming, recycled thermoforming packagings. And this one can savings the cost of the about 20% comparing to and CO2 reduction of 56% on the CO2 reduction, starting from the process at the beginning until the end. Because the customer, because it's lighter weight, and the weight can reduce from about 7.9 kilogram to only 6.1 kilograms, and it's combination between sea freight and also the air freight. So with kind of the proper designs and using some of the recycled materials that can be recycled over than 20 times and can be reused by 50%, 50 times of the packaging, so it can reduce a lot of CO2. We're working very closely with the Tesla in US, starting from the designs. They consider not only for the material that we use, but they consider for whole of the inline productions until the end of the packaging for their finished product to ship their equipment to China or to some other country. Yes, it's very proud that Thailand factory is one of the key factory for Tesla in the US and Mexico.
All right, so in a way you said the obstacles could be the cost, but what you're showing here, actually, it's not the cost. You're actually going to save money and still be sustainable.
Right, I can say that the mindset is very important. To consider the costing or any obstacles, it means have to look at the whole supply chains.
Right.
And the technology and the design is one of very important. The design know-how and many cases that we can learn not only from the Sweden, but I think from the many company in other country as well. So opening mindset is very important to moving forward to the sustainability roadmap.
Thank you. Konkat?
Yeah, I would say cost is actually important, but if you want to look at it as the whole picture, you have to balance between CAPEX and OPEX, because sometimes people purchase items based on initial cost, but when you look at to say whether the solution or the product is expensive or not, you have to look at the total cost of ownership. Okay, the cost of owning the system, the equipment for a prolonged period, whether that is justifiable over a certain period of time. So to say that something is expensive, exorbitant, you have to look it over a time horizon.
All right, so it's important to contextualize, not just look at the absolute number, as you said, CapEx, OpEx, and the total value chain as such, right? So when you have those types of dialogues, then it's not an obstacle, it's an opportunity.
I think it's the opportunity. It means those companies with innovation, with R&D support, that can really enhance your value proposition to the end users instead of using price alone to push your product through. So for us in Campview, when we introduce our solution to our customers, is basically always start with understanding customer pain point. So sometimes we joke among ourselves, we are in the business of understanding others before understanding ourselves. So we come back to the company, understanding customer pain point, taking that back, and coming up with the solution to customers. And then going back, do the presentation, and give the warranty to our solutions. If we say that the solution is going to save you a lot of money, that amount of dollar, we put our warranty to that. And also the lifetime of the product, that it can last for 3 years, we make sure it lasts for 3 years. So it allows customers to operate their system, their facilities with minimal shutdown time.
So you're smiling. Is it music to your ears or?
No, I would say that you asked about obstacle. I think somehow the customer in some segment in Thailand are very price conscious. And that forced the car makers to be very cost conscious, especially in some segment. And unfortunately, I know the quality products like this comes with a little bit more expensive price. And for us, as an organization, we see that Thailand produce 2 million units per year. Don't talk about this year. The capacity of China is 30 million units per year. So economy of scale is different, much different. So in order to compete with those products, I think you guys come on the right track. Fight with the quality, fight with the innovation. So keep fighting.
Yeah, I think it is a challenge. Okay, we have different level of end users over here in Thailand. Some of them are very price sensitive. Some of them are really focused on qualities. So it's a mixed bag of qualities. But I think at the end of the day, those companies that are price sensitive, one day, if you show them the way, they would also like to go for quality eventually.
Right.
I think we start with Volvo.
It's okay. We still have time. So I'll come towards the dimension here. So we come back to the aspect that the proven point that actually it's affordable, it can be profitable. That's an important message, but also to take the holistic viewpoint of it and drive it forward. That comes also to the change and adaptation of the Thai public and the consumers, and not only in Thailand, as Thailand is also an export hub for EV vehicles. Yeah.
I think we have mentioned a little bit about the innovations,
yes.
Right? That is very important. I mean, certainly Volvo and Camfields and a lot of the company has a lot of innovations. May show a little bit of some, let's say, quite small thing and can create a lot of impact to the sustainable roadmap to the world on the packaging side. Let I share some of the examples. Right, so this is some thermoforming that the Swedish companies supply to the EV industry, not only in Thailand but in many countries. And this is some packaging that they're using the know-how of the Swedish companies and combined with the knowledge and sharing some things from the customer developed together for the sustainable solution and corrugate. I mean, the packaging that is can serve for the whole supply chain in the lithium battery that we keep supplying to many countries already. And returnable box, which is very simple, but inside there are many designs and come from many know-hows of their, not only for the people, but also from the software that helping together to conduct and launch for this kind of things that is can be developed. And some kind, again, I mean, from the people's capability combined with the software, not only for the design packaging, when we look at for the whole supply chain, we also using the software that can calculate and decide how to put the packaging or the product inside the container. So it can reduce the cost by 20%, and meanwhile, it can reduce the number of movements of the packaging of the product. So it can reduce the CO2 emission as well. So, yeah, and connecting packaging, this is no doubt. I think we are one of, Swedish, besides the grip pen that developing, is also some kind of the technology that also using a lot that can track the returnable packaging, can track the damaged battery back to the center for repairing. So this is something that they work together on this one.
All right. Thank you very much. We're coming towards the end of the session right now. So just a quick maybe 10-15 seconds from you each here. How can the synergy between supply chain providers and mobility companies ensure that Thailand's urban green transport system is at the forefront of global sustainability efforts? So I'll start with you. Yeah.
Okay, I think we need all hands on deck. Together with the automotive suppliers, government authority, and car makers, together we can collaborate and do something good for the country.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we are on the right path for EV industry, and I think Thailand is if I got the number correctly, we are the highest in terms of EV adoption in Southeast Asia. I think for this to accelerate, I think government, private sectors need to collaborate. Private sector alone cannot do much. So in terms of emission standard, in terms of OSHA standard, I think this is something that the government has to come in and meet out the regulations, and then for the private sectors to work in conjunction with government regulations.
Thank you.
I think the collaborations in all parties is the key of the success. And the Thai government has done very good job starting already. So the cooperation between the company, the idea, the technology from other country bring back to Thailand, the idea from the local company, sharing what the demand, what the need inside the country, and adapt it and also adopt it to the next generations of the moving forward to the green mobility as the sustainable way. I think this is the most important.
One thing to add, the last thing to add, I think incentive. I think incentive given to end users, companies that is really adopting this sustainability practice, I think they should be rewarded.
So collaboration, government involvement, incentives, we're going to make it happen and Thailand is on the way. A big round of applause for Kun Bear, for Kun Kiat and for Kun Paul here. And we're coming to the end of the session.